This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast with a 100% win ratio so far, 3 games and 3 wins. Sunderland were back at home last night facing a Fleetwood Town side in a game that ended in a very comfortable 2-0 win. And Jack, Dodds and John are here to talk about the game with me. You both doing well?
That's mate. Great. Especially after last night.
Yeah, buzzing.
And John, another win, another clean sheet, another McGeady assist. Only thing missing last night was a customary Charlie White goal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but we'll, we've been saying we can't have it all on Mike. And he did have a quiet game. To be fair, we didn't really use him. But to his credit, we didn't really need him, which maybe gave him a little bit of a week off. And nice to see the midfielders. If you class O'Brien as a midfielder for last night, yeah, it's nice to see them chipping up, which is what we've been asking for.
Yeah. And Jack, one of the things that we've talked about since we even dropped into League One is the inability to beat certain teams. You know, we hadn't beaten Burton in 4 years before Saturday. Never beaten Fleetwood, I don't think, in League One. Well, obviously, we beat Burton 3-0, beat Fleetwood 2-0. Is there any team in this league you don't think we can beat while we're playing like this?
Definitely not, mate. Like, obviously, certain teams have been able to get one over on us. I've been Burton, Fleetwood. There's probably another couple in there that I've missed. But, we're starting to beat these teams now. And, I don't think any team's immune to getting beat because there's always a way to beat them. Having said that, I do think that Fleetwood being managed by Simon Grayson, not Joey Barton, did help us. I think that was probably more of an aid than people realise. Fleetwood are in the worst form probably they've been in since we came down into League One, really. Excluding potentially maybe the first season, I'm not entirely sure. But, they're not in form at the moment, and it was evident last night they didn't even get a shot on target. So a really good time to play them. But as I say, I think them being managed by Grayson and not Barton helped more than maybe it appears to have done.
And John, obviously, one of the stats going around Twitter was the fact that Simon Grayson still never won at the Stadium of Light. And to a lot of people, that probably wouldn't sound too bad. But when you tell them that he was actually Sunderland manager for 5 months, 5-6 months, it sounds even worse. But what do you think the big difference was with the Joey Barton Fleetwood side to the side that we played yesterday?
I think a team like Fleetwood, they're not, I don't think they're the greatest team in the world, but, they're sort of an average League One team. And then if you add, the Joey Barton to Sunderland sort of wind-up connection, if you get an extra sort of 10-15% out of those players and we're perhaps not on it, or we let it affect us, which we have done in the past, and I think that's when you start to see the cracks appear in our performance. But it was nice, like you say, last night. I don't think they came near us really, and it was a good professional performance against them. I'm probably a little bit worried with the Bristol Rovers game coming up and Mr. Barton, but hopefully this is the club's in a place now where we can actually turn up with a bit of swagger and sort of put these teams to the sword finally.
Yeah. Another change yesterday, obviously, was the stream. Kirill Dreyfus and the club in general invested in a multi-camera stream, and it just seems a lot more professional than when you're watching the Accrington streams, the Shrewsbury streams. It's good to be the best at something for the first time, as Danny said as well. And it's never going to be the same as when you're in the stadium, Jack, but things like that do go a long way, don't they?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Like, as I say, it's never going to replicate that experience of being in the stadium, but with watching the games on the streams, it's just like, it's not. As I say, it's never going to be the same experience on a stream, but it added the experience a little bit having multiple cameras. It's a small thing to pick up on, but it was just a bit more pleasurable to watch the match. It's small of a thing, and it isn't as daft and insignificant as a lot of people might think it is. It just I don't know, it just made it a little bit nicer to watch the match. And obviously, it's completely non-football related, but it did it, especially when we're kind of actually be in the stadium. Anything you can do to make it slightly better just adds to that experience. And as I said, it did feel a lot more professional, and it felt like we were watching a game that maybe isn't just quite League One, because most teams just have the one camera. It added that little bit something which, maybe I'm making a big deal out of it, no, it was a nice thing to just as you added the experience is pretty how I would sum it up.
Yeah. We'll look at the team that did start the game for Sunderland. Obviously, Lee Burge started in goal. A back three of Conor McLaughlin, Dion Sanderson and Luke O'Nien. Midfield was Lyndon Gooch, Max Power, Grant Ledbetter and Callum McFadzean, with a front three of O'Brien, White and Aidan McGeady. And John, just the one change. Obviously, McFadzean came in for Vogans. It's the same system, back three, Gooch playing almost as a wing back, I suppose. Can you see this being the favourite system going forward, even when everyone is fit?
I'm not sure. I think with the players we got, I think if Bailey Wright and Sanderson come back in, I think it will go back to a flat back four. Might give us a little bit more protection, even though we were fairly well protected last night. But at least it's nice to say that Johnson, we've got the flexibility to change the system. Do you know what I mean? Jack Ross sort of, was a bit rigid with it, and Parkinson was obviously quite rigid as well. And it's nice to see that bit of flexibility. Do you know what I mean? So we can. Yeah. Everyone was worried with the Burton game about the formation, and Danny Collins rightly said, sometimes formation is just a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's how those players perform in that formation. So it's nice to see the flexibility going forward, and I think we can suit every single game coming forward, because obviously we're not going to be able to play this throughout the whole season, I don't think, and there's going to have to be room for change.
Yeah. Well, as always, 3 o'clock, game got underway, and neither side really looked like doing anything. The first half was one of the most anti-football halves of football I've probably seen this season. And Jack, the longer the game goes on without a goal or even a clear-cut chance, you do start to think it could just be one of those days, don't you?
Well, someone left a comment on our live stream actually and said that if someone gets a goal, they'll win this game. And I think as the second half got underway and progressed, I thought if either side nicks a goal here, then they have completely won the game. And just, I don't know. I don't even know if I would say anti-football. I would just say it was a scrappy game though. It was scrappy. There wasn't really much going, and both teams I think struggled to really create any chances. And then we eventually, obviously, we kept plugging away and we got ours. And then I think from there, only one team was going to win it, because if Fleetwood couldn't manage to create a chance in however many minutes it was at 0-0, when we've got the advantage of being a goal up, they were never going to get back in that game. I mean, they didn't even have a shot on target.
Yeah, I don't even think they had a shot in the game, did they? Not even on target. I don't even think they had a single shot.
Wow.
But Max Power had an effort in the first half. I think Aidan McGeady had one as well, but neither really tested the keeper. First half ended 0-0, John. Last few weeks we've started the games well, got an early goal, but yesterday it just took us a lot longer to get going. Do you think that's just purely down to the fact we are playing Saturday, Tuesday? I think there was a game. Obviously there's a game coming up on a Wednesday soon. Do you think it is down to the amount of games, or do you think yesterday was just I want to say a bad day, we've still won 2-0, but in terms of the performance in the first half especially?
Yeah, I don't think we've got the consistency yet to play our true game sort of for 90 minutes. It's nice to see us a little bit rigid for games, but yeah, the games are coming thick and fast, and I think obviously we took the semi-final seriously, rightly or wrongly. It's up for anyone else to decide. But obviously we put a strong team out for that, so we've played relentlessly now for sort of 4 or 5 weeks, and we're playing the same. We're starting the same players. I'd like to see it changed up a little bit. We haven't got a change for White, because obviously Stewart's injured at the moment. He's obviously not too sure on Jordan Jones at the minute, because you'd maybe swap him out for McGeady for 70 minutes, and then obviously bring McGeady on if we're struggling. Diamond can go the other side. He's not really fancied him. So you'd expect maybe in the next 10 days, we've got three games coming up. You'd expect to see, I think, some changes. Just to obviously give them a break, because we have got the games are. I think they're even going to come even thicker and faster going forward, and we're going to need everyone. It's going to be a real squad game, as much as a cliche as that is.
Yeah. I've just double checked the stats from last night's game just to be sure. Fleetwood didn't have a shot in the whole game. They had one corner and
Grayson ball.
didn't even get far enough up the pitch to get an offside given against them. That was an interesting one. But the second half got underway. It started to move the ball a lot quicker, looked more of a threat. 15 minutes in, got the reward. McGeady, once again, he had a very quiet game yesterday, but he received the ball on the left. He's floated a ball into the middle. O'Brien was at the back post. He's headed it past. I think it's Alex Cairns. I don't know if I've made that first name up, but Jack, O'Brien comes in for a lot of criticism, sometimes rightfully, sometimes not, but he's now scoring goals. He's putting the work rate in. As long as that continues, is there any reason he shouldn't be starting for us?
Well, Aidan O'Brien's a player who I've defended quite a lot, especially under Lee Johnson. Don't get us wrong, in the Parkinson, I didn't really see much in him. But under Johnson, I think he's actually been somewhat, and this might be a slight exaggeration, but of an unsung hero. I know Wyke scored 4 against Doncaster, and O'Brien wasn't even playing that game. But if you look back at a lot of Charlie Wyke's goals, a lot of them have came from O'Brien doing something. The one against Ipswich, he held the ball quite well, laid it off the max power. There was another one Wyke scored. Might have been Shrewsbury. I'm not going to comment on exact goals, but I think O'Brien's often involved in the build-up. But at the very least, I think what O'Brien does do is he takes responsibility off Wyke by dropping deep in particular and coming out wide, chasing after the ball, winning it back and getting us moving again. And previously, and I think especially in the Parkinson, a lot of the time that was Wyke's job, and Wyke wasn't very central in the Parkinson quite a lot because he would end up having to come wide to pick the ball up, come deep and try and get in the midfield, get an attack going. But I think O'Brien does that quite well. And look, obviously, a lot of criticism has been that he hasn't been scoring goals, but I always thought, well, if Wyke can be our goal scorer and O'Brien can kind of facilitate that happening by, as I say, dropping out wide, linking up, coming deep, winning the ball back, getting attacks moving, and that allows Wyke to just kind of float in and around the areas he's going to, as Johnson would call the pomo, like the areas he's going to score a goal, then that's a partnership that can work. The only criticism of that would be, well, then, Wyke can't score every game. O'Brien is going to have to chip in with a few. And interestingly enough, a few weeks ago when I was writing about this, I actually noticed that he'd quadrupled his goal tally within the space of a month. He went from 1 to 4 goals within the space of a month. And obviously he got one last night. I can't remember exactly when that was. It was a few weeks back. I can go find it a bit later on. But he, as I say, he is starting to get a few goals now. And I think, to me, O'Brien's more important in the team to allow Wyke to score more goals. If he can just chip in with the odd couple here and there, then I don't know if he guarantees to start all the time, but he's certainly a valuable squad member. I think there are players in the squad who had a little bit more than him, especially going forward. But I think he's certainly a valuable squad member, and to me, he definitely earns the odd game here and there, and definitely earns minutes somewhere. His place in the squad is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Before we did score a goal, Johnson was going to make a few changes, but obviously when you do score a goal, you do kind of delay that. But he did eventually make the changes. He made 3. Jordan Jones, Chris Maguire and Carl Winchester all coming on. Maguire came on, made an instant impact, got an assist. Sunderland won the corner. Maguire swung a ball at the back post for power to head at Cairns, who essentially spilled it into the net. And John, again, we've stopped the short corners. We're getting the ball into the box. We're getting goals from it. It's that simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Obviously, it's something we must have worked on. I wouldn't have said Fleetwood covered themselves in glory with the defending, sort of letting Max Power sort of run around the back and keeper sort of fumbled it in. But we've got to bring that to our game. If the target is automatic promotion, then we've got to be scoring goals from every single thing. It's nice to see a simple goal, but effective. Literally just a whip ball from Maguire who's been out of it. So it'd be nice for him to get an assist, and then the captain pops up with, essentially what kills the game off, and we can sort of cruise the rest of it. So yeah, things are massively going in the right direction.
Yeah, and John, just again, Jack said there, we've said it in before in the podcast. I think Danny said it as well. It was becoming a worry that Charlie Wyke was getting the goals, getting the only goals, I should say. But he had a quiet game yesterday. He wasn't really involved at all. Again, I think you said it was before the podcast started. I don't think he had a shot. But we've scored twice in the game where our striker hasn't actually played a part in it. We've won the game. It's promising that we are moving away from relying on that one player to get the goals.
Yeah, of course. We can't rely on him. He'll probably be a little bit disappointed with his performance, but that might sort of almost be a kick up his own backside to on Saturday think, well, I need to put maybe a bit more in and get on the end of stuff, because it's not like he had 3 or 4 chances and he missed them. He wasn't really in it at all. I don't think one ball in the box went near him, and it was looking a little bit frustrating. But he doesn't probably get the credit as he should. As Jack was saying, that I think he took one of the defenders out for Aidan O'Brien to have a good run onto McGeady's cross. So with the two of them up there, and I wasn't O'Brien's biggest fan last night, but White probably did off the ball. And obviously created the goal was maybe as much as McGeady did. So we've got that there. But like I say, we don't always have to rely on him, and it's good to see the others stepping up now.
Yeah. Well, the game did finish 2-0, and it was a win that took Sunderland up to 5th, and it was an even bigger win after the 90 minutes, considering both Lincoln and Hull did drop points. We are 8 points from top still, 7 points from automatic, Jack. Considering how many fans wrote the season off a few weeks ago, it's still a very doable task to aim for the top 2 come the end of the season.
Oh, completely and entirely. I mean, I've kind of predicted us for the last kind of few weeks, months. I think I've always thought we'll get in the playoffs. I was thinking maybe 4th or 5th, but now I do generally have a belief that there's no reason why we can't get in the top 2. I think what we've got to do to get that is just show some consistency, because teams in League One always drop points. Like we've seen it. Look at our first season in League One. There was, I think, Peterborough started top of the league, then they completely fell off. Portsmouth then took over, they completely fell off, and then obviously Luton went on to the very end. But look at Barnsley and Charlton in that first season, they dropped points. Teams in League One, especially at the top, they'll always drop points and go on bad runs. If we can be the team that has that 10 to 15 game consistent run, which I genuinely think we could be starting now, of winning most of your games, and when you do draw, you've done well to get a draw, and there's nothing much more you could have done, as opposed to chucking the game away, which we tend to be quite prone to do. And then I think there's absolutely no reason why we can't finish in that top 2. As I say, if we put a consistent run together, because we do seem to have like little like the odd game here and there, we have a great performance and we completely drop off again. But we're starting to put, obviously 3 league wins and the Lincoln semi-final. That's 4 good performances in a row now. If we can just do that more and more and more, the confidence only builds, the form builds. You show that consistency, you get points nailed on the board, you start to climb the table, because other teams can't do it in League One. Teams at the top of League One always drop points. If we can be the team that doesn't, which we are just about starting to show that we can, maybe, I feel as if we could be on the start of that run, I don't think there's any reason why we can't finish in the top 2 this season.
Yeah, definitely. A few things from Twitter that a few people said, and there was one that I wanted to focus on in particular that I will get to, but Reese was saying that we are going up Derby Day next season, which would be an interesting one. John, resilience, strong defensively, professionally run, hoping these recent results are defining for the season. And one of the ones that I wanted to talk a little bit about, John, was someone who says, proving that we can beat teams who play to draw. And that's been one of the things that have held back Sunderland over the last 2 seasons, however long we've been in League One now for. But a lot of teams come to Stadium of Light, they'll set up, they'll time waste. They don't want to win the game. They see the game as, if they get a point, that's 3 points in their mind. But we're now breaking teams down that, 2, 3, maybe 4 months ago, we wouldn't actually have been able to break down.
Yes, I saw someone, I can't remember who said it, but a few days ago, and it was why would we play so defensive? With the amount of attacking talent that we've got. Let's be honest, we are a lot more attacking than we were under the previous manager. Yeah. Obviously, he was quite hell bent on keeping clean sheets, but we'd struggled to score, struggled to break those teams down.
I think it was one word that described them quite well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Jurassic
obviously
Park.
last night. Yeah, and so last night, I think, was probably a prime example. Their keeper was sort of just walking to get the ball and playing with his socks, and it was driving me crazy a little bit, because I was thinking, if these teams did come up here and played football, they probably would do all right against us, but they don't. So now we need to. That's why we need to be a little bit more sort of relentless in attacking, which I think Johnson is. And prime example is Burton on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? We smash in the early goal. it gives us a little bit of freedom, and the confidence to just play our game, as opposed to right, we need to go hell for leather and win this. And I think we pushed for the second goal yesterday, and obviously once we got it, we even though they didn't really threaten us throughout the night, but you always we like to give the odd one or two chances, and normally a team would score. But the stats from last night, regardless of who their manager is, I thought we dealt with it really well. And as long as you score, and obviously we're getting 2s and 3s now as opposed to just 1s. I think that the emphasis that Johnson's gone with is, we have got that attack in the 10. You know what I mean? And even with McGeady coming off, I thought Jones was probably just as good, if not, maybe not even a bit better going forward than McGeady was last night. So we've got those options that other people don't have, and that's the squad that we need to use. And I think that's one of the things that maybe Johnson's been told. You need to use them. As soon as he came in, it was before he got the job, he'd phone McGeady and say, look, you're going to come back and play him back in the squad for me. And it's, it's a no-brainer for me. So yeah, it's definitely on the way up with Johnson.
Certainly is. We will move into player ratings very quickly. Lee Burge starting goal. Don't think Fleetwood didn't have a shot. He had nothing to do the whole game. He had one corner. I'm not sure what happened with that corner. I don't know whether he came out with clicked or not, but again, 6 out of 10. Give him a lot of 6s. So John, for you?
Yeah, I've gone for 6. I thought, he's about a tweet that said he basically had the night off, didn't he? To be fair, his passing at the back's okay. My wife keeps arguing that because he didn't have anything to do, he should get a 10. So we've had that debate. I don't know what else I can say to her, but yeah, I've gone for 6 that she's probably going to kill me for.
Jack, for you?
It's an awkward one, really, isn't it? Because, as I say, he didn't have anything to do all night. I would just say 6 as well. Tempted to say 10 because he technically had a perfect performance, but then he didn't have anything to do. So I gone with 6 as well.
Conor McLaughlin started once again as part of the back 3 on the right of the 3. Comfortable at the back, drove forward with the ball whenever he could. Won his fair share of headers. Definitely looks like he is capable in that position. So I've given him an 8, John.
Yeah, I thought he was. I've gone for 7. I thought he was good. He got a very, very good touch, which I was quite impressed about. And I was thinking about that, and then he literally went and lost one with his touch. So I was shutting my mouth quickly. But yeah, I think he's doing very well in there. Very solid, and part of that back 3 is doing really well. So yeah, I've gone for 7.
Yep. Jack, for you?
Yeah, I'll go with 7 as well. He was very solid, and he was good in the ball as well. He didn't just defend. I just think he's really, really suited to playing as a centre-back in a back 3, especially on the right-hand side. So a very solid performance, and I'll go with 7 as well.
Deon Sanderson was next. Obviously, he started in the middle of the back 3, and he has been linked with a permanent move to Sunderland, although I'm not sure how likely that would be, given he has just signed a new contract with Wolves. But his performance yesterday, again, solid in the air, comfortable at the back, drove forward with the ball whenever he could. Probably the best of the 3 defenders, but again, I've given him an 8. Can't fault him there, John.
Yeah, I've gone with 8 as well. I thought he was superb last night. For such a young lad, he is a really, really good leader back there, and I wasn't scared of having him at all in there. Yeah, absolutely brilliant last night. 8.
Jack, for you?
Yeah, he was my man of the match. He was absolutely solid last night. Led in the defence surprisingly well. Nothing really got past him. I would give him an 8. I would give him higher if Fleetwood challenged us more. But yeah, an 8 because he was absolutely superb again last night.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien made up the back 3, and I think my favourite part of the game was when Luke O'Nien did a completely unnecessary diving header back to Lee Burge. But again, kept things simple, held his position, decided to promote himself to free kick duty, which didn't necessarily pay off. But I want to give him an 8 out of 10 again. Kept a clean sheet. Fleetwood never looked like getting forward, so I think it's only right to give all defenders an 8. So, John?
Yeah, I've gone for an 8 as well. I thought he was very good. I was actually impressed with his diving header back to the keeper, saves him running. But yeah, he's looking good back there, isn't he? Which is going to be a tough call when the actual centre backs do actually come back and are fit.
Yeah. Jack, for you, Luke O'Nien?
I want to give him an 8, but I said Sanderson was man of the match, and I've given him an 8. I think everyone's got to get slightly less than that. But I'd say 7. I mean, I remember a point in the game when I think he won 3 headers in about 10 seconds. He's just so athletic. He's not even the tallest, but yeah, he's really fitting into that left centre back role, and he was just an absolute brick wall. as the left part of the three. But that's all the back three were fantastic last night. So yeah, he gets 7 from me.
Yeah. Lyndon Gooch kept his place at right wing back or right midfield, however you want to look at it. And it's possibly a harsh one, but he was a lot of running, didn't really create anything when he got the ball. At least not that I can remember. Had a good chance to get a goal, similar to the one where McGeady played him through. I'm not sure who that was actually against. I think that was the one where Wyke scored 4. But he hit it straight at Cairns. I've given him a 5 out of 10, but I'm thinking that's a bit harsh. I'm going to knock it up to a 6. John?
Yeah, I've gone for a 6. I thought he was okay. I thought he was industrious and not everything came off. I would have liked him to have scored. But when you actually watch it back on the highlights from a different angle, the keeper actually makes a really good save. But he's got to start tucking them away. But yeah, I'll give him a 6. He done okay.
And Jack, for you?
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 as well. He was worked hard. And he didn't look too bad going forward, but he gave the ball away a couple of times in the final third. He wasn't particularly creative. Little bit missing, but he wasn't too bad. So I'll give him a 6 as well.
Yep. Moving into the midfield, the centre midfield, I should say. Max Power kept his place, kept the ball moving well, contributed to our attacks going forward. As I touched on a bit earlier, had the only real effort on goal in the first half. They did bounce just wide. With good awareness, good position for his header, got the goal, won the game. So I'll give him a 8 out of 10, John.
Who's that Power?
Max Power.
Max Power. Yeah, I've actually gone with a high 8 as opposed to a low 8. I thought he was the best player on the pitch last night. I thought he was really good, and I put that down to sort of an all-round thing because he's very energetic in the middle, and he seems to be hitting the player that we thought we'd signed, before the red card sort of seemed to shuffle in and gets the goal as well. I've had the ump with him a little bit, sort of a few weeks ago I haven't seen him sort of rallying the team and kicking people at the backside, and it's nice to see the last few weeks he's proper getting stuck into everyone. I saw him tour McFadden a new one because he sort of passed it out wide, and it happens all the time. McFadden's sort of a yard behind and it goes out of play, and Max Power absolutely let him have it. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just saying, next one, come on. Literally, we need those standards to stay. And I think last night he was the reason that we won. I think, and obviously the goal, we can't argue with that. So yeah, I'll give him an 8.
Yeah. Jack, for you?
He's been one of the most improved players under Lee Johnson, hasn't he? Especially in centre midfield, looks a completely different player. I would like to give him an 8, but just to see whether it's giving Sanders an 8 and giving a man of the match. I'll give him a really, really high 7. But yeah, he was one of the other players who I was thinking man of the match because he was superb last night. Just controlled the midfield impeccably.
Yeah. Alongside Max was Grant Ledbetter, and again, he's one of the players that I do say the same thing about every week. But first half, very slow on the ball. Took one of the worst free kicks I think I've ever seen. I'm not entirely sure what he's thinking with that free kick. He just seemed to. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was definitely the worst free kick I've ever seen as a Sunderland fan. But second half, moved the ball a bit quicker. And again, when you go 1-0 up or you go 2-0 up, Grant Ledbetter is the perfect player to have in that midfield because he will control the ball, he will play them simple passes, and he'll just calm the team down, will keep the ball. I went with a 6 out of 10 based on the full game. I think it was more of a 5 in the first half and a 7 in the second. So I suppose I'll go down the middle and go with a 6. John? Yeah,
same vote for 6. I thought he was okay. There was a few times he get the ball away stupidly, but he's, that happens unfortunately. But I thought, especially the second half, especially after we scored, I thought he was very neat and tidy at just keeping the ball at the right time, at the right ball. Really used his experience, and I was really impressed with that. So yeah, probably a slightly harsh 6, but yeah, 6.
Yeah. And Jack, for you?
Yeah, I'll reiterate everything everyone said, really. He grew into the game, he calmed the game down really well when we took the lead. I'll give him a 6. I don't think he was quite on the same level as Power, but again, it was an all right performance. As I say, he grew into the game as it went. It wasn't outstanding, but I think his kind of slowness, I guess, in the first half kind of was eradicated by how well he controlled the game in the second half. So I'll give it a 6 as well.
Yeah. Moving on to the last midfielder or wing back, depending again how you look at it. Callum McFadden came in, although I think he started the last game anyway. But obviously, there's him and Jake Vogan's fit. Denver Hume still out injured. I have no idea how far he is away from being fit. But I always compare the left-back situation that we have this season with the goalkeeping situation we had in the Championship. I think we've got 3 left-backs, and to decide which one's better than who, I think it's very difficult because I don't think any of them are particularly good, but miscontrolled the ball quite a lot in the first half. Similar to Ledbetter's free kick, one of the worst crosses in the box I've ever seen that went nowhere near the goal and went straight out for a goal kick. Second half, he was a bit better. Defensively, he was a bit better. So I've given him I said 5, I'll go with a 6 again, similar to Gooch. John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I've gone with 6 as well. Defensively, I thought it was okay, but again, he wasn't really tested. Won a few headers I was quite surprised about, but going forward, sort of a complete waste of time, really. I really do think that Hume would probably flourish in this system, as a wing back. So we're quite unlucky that he's not around at the minute. But yeah, it was standard McFadden performance, really. So yeah, 6 for me.
Jack, for you?
McFadden, defensively wasn't really challenged at all, so you can't really comment. But if he had been, we probably would have known where it went. Really, going forward, didn't really offer anything. I actually read this morning that apparently he gave the ball away 23 times. Just didn't do anything for us. I don't think Vokins by any means has been great since he's came in, but I think with his performance against Burton, I wouldn't have dropped him myself. McFadden, I'm actually going to give him a 5. But I think if Fleetwood had actually done anything going forward, that could have significantly dropped.
Yeah. Moving on from 3, Aidan McGeady. Again, been one of the most important players in the team since Lee Johnson arrived. But yesterday, didn't really have much involvement in the game. But again, given the ball once and he can create something out of it, and that's exactly what he did. Got a great ball in for O'Brien's header, but as I said, that was his only involvement in the game. It was wasteful in possession at times, and it's another frustrating performance, but another assist, that's what he's in the team to do. So I'll give him a 6 as well, John.
I've gone for 7. I thought, the assist, I think, gives it, just bumps it up a little bit. I thought he was okay, tried things. Obviously, not everything's going to come off. Decision making, especially first half, was not great at all. It was sort of detriment to us. But you're going to, we're sometimes going to have those type of games. One game is going to, have an absolute storm, and the next, it might be a little bit frustrating. Plenty of bodies around him. Always seemed to have 2 men on him. So it was a little bit frustrating, but he found the bit of magic we needed and a bit of quality that we've got. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, Jack, for you?
I think McGeady grew into the game. First half, I don't think he got on the ball much. Second half, as you say, he got that one time where he was able to swing the cross into O'Brien, and it was a pinpoint delivery, really exactly where it needed to be. I'll give him a very, very high 6. I wouldn't quite put him on a 7 on the same level as some of the players I've put as a 7. That's unfortunate because I don't really want to criticise him at all. And I don't think he had a bad game by any means. I just think he was quite quiet until he got his assist. But then his assist changed the game really. So you've got to give him credit for that. So I'll give him a very, very high 6.
Yeah. Aidan O'Brien started on the other side. Worked hard, took the goal very well, and that was it really. Good performance in general. So I'll give him a 7, John.
Yeah, I've gone for 7. I think the first half I wasn't that impressed, and then sort of early second half, I was just about to put a tweet out that said, it's a waste of a shirt tonight. Literally, as I thought about pressing the tweet button, he rose like a salmon and smashed one in and rammed those words down my throat. So long may that continue to prove me wrong. So, that's what he's in the team, to do, to add to goals and help Wyke. And yeah, he delivered on that. So I probably would have, I would have given him a 6 if he hadn't scored, but I'll give him a 7 for, the finish.
Yeah. Jack, for you?
I'd disagree. I do think he was. He contributed certainly up before he got his goal. I thought he worked quite hard, and there are a lot of things I was touching on earlier about O'Brien. I think they were present again in his game yesterday, not to the same extent, but I think he still did drop deep, work hard, link up the play, and I think his goal kind of topped it off. To me, I think I would give him quite a high 7. I would say give him quite a high 7 because I wouldn't want to put him on as against him same level as I gave some of the people. I got a 7, but he didn't touch Dion Sanderson, so I would give him a high 7. I thought he had quite a decent game last night, and his goal, similar to McGeady with the assist, just kind of took him up that notch.
Yeah, set the precedent very early with that Sanderson rating, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Maybe I should give him a 9 instead.
Moving on to the last player was Charlie Wyke, and as I've said a couple of times through this podcast, it's had little impact on the game at all. Didn't have any chances, I don't think, to get a goal, but we got the ball up to him a few times. He didn't really hold it up as well as he can, so I've given him a 5. John?
Yeah, I've gone with the same. It was fairly anonymous during the game, probably marshalled quite well by their defenders. We didn't really find him. Hold up play sort of non-existent, but the form he's been in, we can maybe afford to give him 1 week off. And like I said earlier, he did make the run, which created a bit of space for O'Brien. So maybe slightly harsh on the market, but yeah, I've gone for a 5. But I'm not too worried, because you'd expect at the weekend to sort of bang in a couple of goals anyway.
Yeah. And Jack, for you?
Maybe I'm looking at this through slightly rose-tinted glasses, but I wouldn't say it was completely anonymous, but maybe that's because of how good he's been in recent weeks, and I just don't want to admit it. But I think I'll give him a 6. I'll nudge him slightly higher, because as much as he didn't really do much in the game, I don't think he was too bad. Maybe if he'd had a little bit more to work from, he would have probably got his goal in. And as you say, he did have a part to play in O'Brien's goal, so I'll nudge him up ever so slightly, and I'll give him a 6.
Yeah. And Jack went for Deion Sanderson as man of the match. John, who are you going with?
I went with Power. I thought it was just all round good captain's performance, and obviously the goal at the right time as well helped us win the game. But yeah, Sanderson wasn't, even though Sanderson was quality, I don't think he was tested too much. I've probably been a bit harsh on him there, but I just thought Power just for me just edged it.
Yeah, I think I put a tweet out because I wasn't sure who to give it in the match report. I think I got 10 different answers out of the 11 players that didn't play. So something like that. I think the only one that didn't get mentioned was Lee Burge. I've seen a few mention McFadzean. I think everyone was mentioned apart from Lee Burge. So I think I went with Power in the match report in the end, but purely because of what people said on Twitter.
I think it was a bit more of a maybe a team performance.
Yeah, definitely.
As opposed to the individual, which we don't always see. It was easy to go, oh, he was amazing, or he stood. When White scores 4 or McGinn scores. Do you know what I mean? It was more the whole system worked for the whole of the players, and it was sort of an all round performance, which long may that continue as well.
Yeah, I mean, think of the number of 6 and 7s we've given in this player ratings. I think it's exactly right, where kind of everyone just had a decent game. Obviously, I would kind of take McFadzean out of that. I don't think he was on everyone else's level, but everyone just kind of did their bit and did their job, and we kind of got there in the end, just kept plugging away. I don't think anyone had a particularly outstanding game, aside from probably the 3 lads at the back who dealt with everything they had. But yeah. A team performance. It's hard to pick out individuals. That could have probably went with about 5 different candidates for man of the match, really.
Yeah, I think it's always a good thing as well if it's hard to pick a man of the match, because it does show that the whole team did play well. But our next game is Crewe on Saturday. I'm not entirely sure what the score was last time we played them, but I know it was a close game. Was it 1-0? Was it?
I think yeah, it was when the cross came in and everyone thought White had scored, but it was an own goal, I believe.
Yes, it was. Yes, I remember that one. But Crewe were a good team, albeit they're not a team that you'd expect to trouble Sunderland, but I'd imagine they will. They do play a lot of good football. So, John, I'll start with you for your predictions for that one.
I think we will win, and I think it will be. I'll just go with another nice routine 2-0. It doesn't always happen, We've won 3 games in a row. Let's have a 4. Let's keep going. Keep up with the the momentum and the magic carpet ride we're on at the moment.
Jack, for you, score prediction?
Yeah, again 2-0. I know. I mean, I said in a little review last night. We kind of touched on Crewe, and I went, I think they're near the bottom, and a couple of people were like, no, they're in 11th or the mid-table or something. But teams like Crewe, Alexander, we should just be sweeping aside, and especially with the form we're on now, we should only be really looking at teams in the top 6 to challenge us at all. I think really teams will up there challenging for promotion. So you back us to win this all the way. I think it'll be another kind of fairly routine, dispatch them. And as I predicted the last time, I'll go with a 2-0 win, and hopefully that one's right again.
Hopefully. And the next thing we'll do and the last thing we'll do is the lineup for the Fan Hub app, which is coming out very soon, I think, if you are on the early access. If you're not, look to our Twitter and there is a link where you can join and you'll get early access to the app. But John, you can make the first decision. The formation you think we'll go with, bearing in mind, I think Tom Flanagan is back. So there is another centre-half option. I think Ross Stewart is back. I say back, he's never actually been here at all. But first of all, the formation I think we'll go with.
I actually watched Lee Johnson's press conference just before I came on it, and I know that Ross Stewart and Flanagan are still a week away, so
They're still a week
they
away, aren't
won't. Yeah, he come out and said it earlier. So I think we're still going to go with the 3-4-3. I think.
And are you making any changes to the goalkeeping position?
No, because Lee Burge was man of the match with a 10, according to my wife. So he can stay in goal, can't he?
Certainly can. And Jack, for you, the first of 3 centre halves, you think will start? Going off John's information, we do only have 3 players that can play there. And if he is wrong and costs me points on this leaderboard once again, I'll not be happy.
Well, I think Johnson said in his press conference, I went and, well, there was an article on sfc.com that I read, and I think he from what I can remember, he didn't seem too keen on the idea of throwing Flanagan straight in. I think I'll go with the same. I think I'll go with the same 3 centre halves. But to be honest, they seem to be doing really well together, so it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, you agreeing with that one, John? O'Nien, Sanderson, and Conor McLaughlin.
Yeah, I think it will. Yeah, he definitely said that Flanagan's still another week away, as is Stewart, and he said because the team's playing so well, he's not really in any rush to get anyone back in. So yeah, you would have thought it's the same, and it's working. It's not like we're struggling; it is really working. So.
I do wonder if we'll see Jamali by the end of the season, because obviously he was ruled out for the season, but that's before the season stopped and the COVID happened.
He did actually mention him as well and said, "Oh, that's long term."
He might come back for like a week or something.
And come and lift the league title with us at the last game of the season, I'm sure.
Probably without getting a medal, though.
Possibly. That wouldn't be the best thing, would it? Same with Ross Stewart. He might never play for us. Could be the next Declan John.
Be another Declan John, yeah.
But in the midfield, John, you can pick the first one. Yeah, I'll let you decide whichever midfield you want. Right midfield, left, centre.
We'll have Max Power in there, shall we?
Oh, he's
Max Power.
Captain. Saying that, if you're injured tomorrow, he'll be out for a week.
And next one, Jack.
I think I'll stick with Gooch on the right. I'm just trying to dodge centre mid, but yeah, I can't really see him putting anyone else there. Obviously, the obvious option would be O'Nien or Conor McLaughlin, but I think they'll be at the back. So yeah, I think Gooch probably stay out there on the right of the floor.
Yeah. Next one, John.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to take Ledbetter out. I think he's a shoo-in at the minute, isn't he? So he's going to play.
Grant and Ledbetter. And Jack, who's going to start on the left? Out of Vogans and McFadzean, probably.
He might go with Vogans, because I know some people have thought McFadzean had a good game, and that's fair enough. Thought he was all right, but I think Vogans had his best game in the Sunderland shirt against Burton Albion, and that doesn't say much, but it was signs of improvement. So I would like to see Vogans come in, but hard to predict really. Just for prediction, I think he'll keep with McFadzean, but I would like to see Vogans come back in.
McFadzean, right? And John, first of 3 attackers. I'm gonna say first of 2 attackers, but including Charlie White. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. So I think
I'd rather bring Ross Stewart in, like.
Yeah, I still think he's going to go with Aidan O'Brien, especially away from home, and they play football, don't they? So he's going to use him, for the press, which is what he likes.
He does like Aidan O'Brien, I think.
Phil Mitchell. He's not that now, is he? And Jack, for you, Aidan McGeady, is he getting dropped anytime soon? As Danny said the last time I asked him, is he going back to the under-23s?
Nah, I think he's probably the most important player in the team at the moment, really. I don't think you can drop him. I think Jordan Jones has been brilliant, but I think maybe he might have to kind of bide his time just getting on for 20-30 minutes towards the end, especially if the game's already won and you can take McGeady off. So I think they'll stick with McGeady. He's the most important player in the team, in my opinion.
Yeah. The team we've went with is unchanged, I think, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Nice to see.
9, Sanderson, McLaughlin, Gooch, Power, Ledbetter, McFadzean, although Jack wants Vogans to start, and I think I'd agree with that. And Aidan O'Brien, Charlie White, and Aidan McGeady. Although I do think 3-4-3. Or 3-4-1.
Didn't we say that before the Burton game, though? That it was, we went with a team and it was totally different, wasn't it? And we were all like, oh my God, what's happening? So you never know.
We had loads of injuries.
Thursday, Friday, yeah. That's what I mean. Thursday, Friday in training is normally for us is a bit of a shitstorm, and then it's Charlie White's going to be on the left wing, and there's all panic stations.
I think LG likes to change it up a bit. I think Johnson likes to change it up. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him like literally go 4-4-2. Like, it wouldn't surprise us if he did. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I think we should, but he's that type of manager. I think likes to keep things fresh. So honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he like completely flipped it on its head. But now we're rolling back the Parkinson days. 3-4-3. Don't change the team, aren't we?
It certainly is. We've got a cup final soon as well. 3 weeks, I think that is, isn't it? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 4 weeks?
I think it's 2 weeks on Sunday, is it? Oh,
3 weeks Sunday.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting one. If it is played on that day, of course. I think Tranmere did request it to get pushed back, but I think Sunderland are selling them virtual tickets now, aren't they? So I don't know whether Sunderland will agree to that. But I think more important, I think we've got Portsmouth the week before on Sky as well. We seem to be on Sky a lot recently.
We're playing total football.
It is, isn't it? The Lee Johnson ball. Obviously, the Lincoln game was on Sky. The Portsmouth game, there was another game before the Lincoln game. Ipswich game was on Sky. On Sky every other week now. Long may that continue. But that is all we have time for today. Jack and John, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us on, mate. It was good.
Thanks for having me.
We will be back again on Sunday to talk about the Crewe Alexandra game.
That's all, folks.